Max Borders, he is the editor of The Free Man and author of Super Wealth, right here, Why We Should Stop Worrying About the Gap Between Rich and Poor. I don't know why, just we've had a few minutes to talk before the show, and I don't know why we haven't met before. You have some interesting things to bring. You have a more optimistic view than I do. I don't think anybody could have a worse view. I am really concerned that our society is, for the most part, they don't understand their responsibility anymore. They don't want their responsibility. We become European. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other part, the good half of the nation that does not. They'll take liberty. How do we survive? You were talking about an experiment or something that somebody's trying to do outside of Detroit. Tell me about that.
Well, as far as I know, there are some developers who are trying to acquire a piece of property outside of Detroit called Belle Island. I don't know much about it, but I do know they would like that to be something of a special economic zone. Of course, they'd have to get permission from the powers that be to do that, but the idea is that they would develop that and have their own local institutions to give a release valve for the garbage that's going on to Detroit.
I think you could actually do that. I don't think you could do it in Detroit, but I think you could actually do that in places like Texas, where it hasn't completely lost its soul. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have politicians that were really truly trying to solve this, they would unleash the entrepreneurial spirit. Instead, they're trying to kill it.
Well, absolutely. When you give people the opportunity to exit a situation that they find is unfavorable to them, they will take advantage of it. I mean, people are pouring into this state from California right now. Jurisdictional arbitrage is the fancy word for that. That's just, there are better opportunities here, they're coming into the state, and they're finding that there are opportunities here just by virtue of that little bit of difference between California and Texas.
I've never heard of Hernando de Soto. Why haven't I heard of this guy? This guy seems like he has answers.
Absolutely. Hernando de Soto is a Peruvian economist who wrote a book called The Other Path, and he's written another one called Mystery of Capital. These two books were profoundly influential among people in Peru, okay, the country of Peru. Mm-hmm. And what was happening in Peru is they were having, you could say, extremists, just like the ones you've been profiling today, mm-hmm. who were rising up and attacking, even bombing downtown center. They were terrorists. They were communist terrorists. And what Hernando was able to do was to fight them essentially with ideas, because you have a set of people who are marginalized, it's clear. You have a crony capitalist structure in a small mm-hmm. country that controls the rules. They make the rules benefit them. And so what Hernando was able to do is say, look, here's what you got to do. You either give these people access to property rights, to the rule of law, to low burdens of regulation so they can get in the system, or you're going to lose them to the shining path. And you don't want the shining path in power.
That's the terrorist organization.
That's the terrorists.
But he had to make that case to the politicians. What happens if the politicians up on top are part of that?
That's when you have to have an escape valve. That's when you have to have some sort of means of, of exiting the situation. And there's some interesting experiments going on in exit right now. Okay. For example, currencies, Bitcoin.